Hello everybody, and welcome to the creating the ePortfolio shell using templates video. In this video we're going to real quickly run through the ePortfolio assignment criteria just very quickly, and then we will walk through developing an ePortfolio using Dreamweaver and also using a template. So if we look at our ePortfolio assignment, and the idea behind presenting this now is that you can develop the shell much like you did with the multimedia project, and then add content to the ePortfolio as you move through the course. Later in the course we'll have a webinar on updating the ePortfolio and the multimedia project, where we get into some things like embedding videos and that sort of thing. But the ePortfolio is just a tool for you to kind of illustrate your knowledge and skills, and something you can start now early in the program and then add to as you move through your full program. So if we look at this, there are 5 pages. It's just a 5-page website, an index page, and we'll go over the criteria in much more detail later. I'm just getting the basics today. A projects page where you're only going to focus on the projects from this course. You can include projects from other courses and other types of projects beyond technological projects. You can include papers or whatever you want to include, but as far as requirements for this course and assignment, you only need the projects from this course. Then some links and reading, so a list of useful readings and links, resources you found helpful in your program. And for this is one that, as I've mentioned a few times, I want the course projects to be as relevant as possible. So if there's something that you could come up with, a different type of page or content that would be more relevant, more applicable to what you would like an ePortfolio to be, then feel free to let me know, and we can talk about it. And then coursework page, where you just provide a list of your descriptions or your courses, descriptions possibly. You can break it down by semester. We'll talk more about this later. And then a resume or CV. And here you're going to include both the web version, and a web version formatted in the same way as the rest of your page or your website, and then a Word or PDF link. And we'll talk more about that later. So those are the general requirements, and we're just going to create the shell today. So in the past, we have set up our folders using Dreamweaver, or we set up our main folders on our website. We had the web shell and the ePortfolio, and we just used the ePortfolio as a placeholder. And today we're going to look, so I had some other resources that I want to include. So one is I've collected all of my material, so I want to include this project images, and these are for the projects page, and these are just links to screenshots of projects I've created. Then a couple actual projects. Shell images are for the web shell, so we're not going to use that. Some site images, so some images that I'm going to use for my ePortfolio, and then templates that I'm going to use this from. Now, in the course materials, I've added 4 zip file links in the announcement today. All you have to do is simply unzip these, and then you can work with the portfolios from there. So just the 4 that I created or I used were undeviating. So if I click on undeviating here, I guess I should. So if I click on, let me go back here. So here's my 4 as a zip file. I just unzip that or uncompress depending on what format I'm in. But I have my 4 templates. Now here are my project images I mentioned, my projects, and then my site images that I mentioned. So these are all going to eventually go into my ePortfolio folder. So if I look at undeviating, and I see that I have a default CSS. So I've talked about style sheets before, but this right here is just my basic styles. So it defines what headers look like, the background layout, all of that, where the different types of content layouts, etc. My fonts CSS, so this right here is going to define specific fonts used throughout the site. I have some images, and these are really, there's only the banner image for, and this is what they use. And then I have index.html, and this is just my basic page. Now, what I do is I just simply open this up and then start editing from there. So if I open this, just to see what I think of the format, I see that I have this nice little kind of tabular sort of format here. I have this nice big banner here. I have some content down here. So if this is something, and then I have like my location, my telephone, my email. So this is a nice little tool, a nice little format for an ePortfolio. There's a lot of wasted space, so we have a lot of space up here at top. This banner is really big. We could modify that, make it smaller. You have this content here. Then you have all of these sub items here. We can remove or add to any of these that we want. So if we wanted to change, make these maybe useful links, or maybe even the menu or something like that, we could include the main menu up here, but then as a footer as well. We have a lot of options here. This probably doesn't work well for what I want to do, so I'm going to go to another one. And I'm just going to pick Cloudy Water Sport. Well, I'm going to use Coffee Light. Click on Coffee Light again, kind of images here. So I have all the images, background image, picture 1, picture 2, shadow. Then I have my license. So this right here just tells me how I can use the template. So I have to leave the credit and that sort of thing on there. You want to pay attention to those on all of them. Then I have my styles. So here they've compressed all the style formatting into one CSS page. And then I go to index, and I have this, and this is kind of nice. Again, I have my home, services, portfolio items up here. I have my main content area, and I have sort of this sidebar here. So I could put like a logo up here. I can change, again, I can change any of this content. I could make, if I wanted to get rid of this sidebar and make this main content area wider so it's more balanced, I could do that. There's a lot of options here, but this is a nice clean design. So I could use something like this. This would make sense. And then I have, so if I want to use that one, that would be easy. Then I have BizChrome. I'm going to use this one. So when I click on it and look at it, I have my images, and those are just the images that the product BizChrome uses, the template. Then I have index.html, license text, and style.css. So again, they've kind of compressed everything into a single CSS file. So here, this is the one I'm going to use. So what I want to do is simply take BizChrome and upload it to my website's folder that I created and defined as my root folder in the last webinar. At that point, I'm just going to go ahead and delete the ePortfolio folder. I'm going to change BizChrome to ePortfolio, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add in my content. So I mentioned earlier that I have these project images, so I'm going to drag that in. I have projects, and this is just for organizational purposes. And then I have these site images. Now instead of doing the site images, I'm only going to use a few of these. I'll just kind of hold a number of these down. And I'm going to drag these into the images folder because I know they're different than the images they have listed there, because they just have image 1, 2, pick 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the background. So I'm going to leave those alone until I want to edit them. So now I'm kind of good to go. I can get started now. So I'm going to just go ahead now and expand this a little bit. Whoops. Okay, and we are going to go to our files, so tab, and then when I click on my ePortfolio here, I notice now I have my index page, my project images, my projects, my style page, and my index.html. I mean my license and my images folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and open index.html, and I see this nice little, and I got a little stuff going on here. So I see this nice little template, pretty clean. I like the style of it, so I'm gonna use this. Now, a couple of things I want to do here is I want to look at the CSS designer, and when I select content, what it will do is it will modify what's selected here. I can actually go create new CSS items here, selectors, which we'll look at later. But so if I click on this here, if I scroll over it, I see that it is ID nav, class, there's not one, tag div, absolute position. It's 1116 pixels wide and 63 pixels high. So and we see kind of styles here that influence it. So I can go and edit various content by clicking over here. So if I go to the DOM, I can even see here that I have underline for active links, last links, all these things here. But what's really cool is I can just make modifications here. So let me click on like the link, for example. Here, A is my link text. Let me go to the nav. Yeah, so nav link is A, and I click on this and I see that it's FFF. So let's just say I wanted to change the color here, and I change it to like maybe a deep blue. I'm gonna change it back, but just to kind of show you. So now I've changed my link. I changed all my links in the matter of a second, because all I did is I went to my CSS designer, selected the nav A, which is the link. So all of the links, hyperlinks in the nav window, in the nav class, and change it all to blue. So if I'm gonna go back here and just go to change it to, changes it back to white. I could underline all my links. So now all my links in the nav window would be underlined, etc. If I go over here to A, then these are just my regular links. And so all of my regular links would be this kind of color here. But if there are links in other areas, so like within like box 2 or box 1 or other things, and those are going to be content links. Let's see what those are. Yeah, so content links. So any link in the content div, which is this big kind of container up here. Let me see, where's it at? There's a big sort, you got to find, I think it might be this one. No, that's not it. There's sort of, there we go. It's a bigger outer kind of encompassing content link, but this would change all the links there. So if I wanted to change that to like a red, let me just 2626. So yeah, so see that changes all the links to red. I think it was 262626. I think. Well, not the dollar sign, but okay. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna click on find my nav link here. Selectors. And get rid of the underline. There we go. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to just go ahead and start editing the page, just changing the content. So now, one thing I will say you can also do is, if you are familiar with the code or are okay with looking into the code, you can kind of play around with that a little bit. So if I go to the split view and I have like highlight here, a highlight portfolio, notice how all of those have A, which is a link, href, which is the reference, the file they're referencing, and they all have number signs there, or hashtags. So the reason for that is that this is a template, so those haven't been defined yet. So we can go in real quickly and modify those, and we have a shelf pretty much done in a matter of seconds. So we're kind of going to do that, but instead of doing it in the code, we can just do it in the properties window. So I'm going to go back to the design view. But the code is a nice little tool to kind of play around with, and go ahead and like, you can tweak stuff real quick and easily in the code. So, and also you'll notice up here the style.css. If I want to go directly into the style page, I could just click on style.css, and I could go here and go a hover. That's the hover text decoration. So I can make this, I could change the color of it if I wanted to. I could go to, let's see, color, colon, I'm just going to put red. So now whenever I roll it, it won't, let's see if it works. Live view. Yeah, so it would work when it's uploaded, but there would be like a red rollover effect in that page. So let me go back to this. So you could actually, change the body font size, the font color, the background. They use that image BG which is that kind of gray tile-y looking thing. The outer, so there's all of these little things, headers. Notice how all the headers are lowercase text. So the text transformed to lowercase, which is a real quick and easy thing to do over here as well. H2 is 1.5 emphasis, so it's 1.5 size normal font, and it's bold. And so you have all these little things here that you can modify very, very easily. The banner, image, etc. Box 1. Notice how box 1, if I click on this is box 1. Box 2 is 550 pixels. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and go to box 2. I want it to be the same width. So I'm just going to make it 1116 pixels, and boom, it's automatically lined up with it. And I'm just going to get rid of box 3, but we'll look at that later. So you can see that you can kind of mess around with all of these things pretty easily. So you see the margin is 564 pixels. We don't want to do that. We want it to be kind of aligned with this first box, but just further down. The box 3, this is just like it was more on the right hand side. So, okay. So moving on, we're going to go back to the design view, and we're just going to get our template set up here. So I'm just going to type in my name. And I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and save this. So I'm going to go File, Save. I'm also going to save the CSS page because any changes I made to the CSS. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my content set up. So if I go to the nav window, I know that I have 5 pages. I have home, I have projects, I have readings, let's call it links, we have courses, we have resume, I'm just going to put CV, and then I have a contact page. I can leave this or I can delete it. I'm going to have a contact on all my pages, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, so now if I click on my projects page here and I look at my link, I notice the hashtag, which I told you about earlier. Well, I know this is going to be projects.html, so I'm going to just go ahead and put the name in there. Links is just going to be, we'll call it links.html. Courses is going to be courses.html. And CV is going to be resume. Okay, so now everything is all the same. I'm going to go ahead and save this. I do want to go down into my document title, and this is what pops up in the browser window. So I'm going to put Richard Hartshorn, ePortfolio, home. Okay, makes sense. Now I'm going to start tweaking the content here a little bit. So if I click on this image, I see that it's 1116 by 216, so I'm going to keep that number in mind, and I'm going to replace it with another image. So I'm going to go here down to my properties window, just click start, and then remember I put it in my images folder, I put the UCF fountain banner. So that's what I'm going to use here. I click on it, it knows it's 910 by 300, so, and it's locked, the size is constrained, so I'm going to go and it fits nicely in there. I'm going to go here, welcome to my ePortfolio. I'm going to go ahead and delete this and go this, my ePortfolio, blah, 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 blah. You just put content there later. I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to select an image. Okay. And now if I'm modifying the size, I want to hold shift down to keep the same parameters, but I could also just go here and maybe try 200. It was unlocked. Whoops. So let me go back here. I don't know why it's being a pain in the corner, but it is. So I'm going to lock that real quick and just try to see what 200 does. Okay, that's an okay size. And now I'm going to leave this content here for now, but I may get rid of it later. And I don't want box 3, but I could, if I did want box 3, if I wanted it to go below, then I would just go here, go to my box, my style CSS, find box 3, and what I would do is, where are we at? Did I miss it? Oh, I think I went. I would kind of take this here and let's see what, so because of the box 2's in the way, I would have to hit enter, but I don't really need it, but if I wanted to hit enter, I could do, and it would just come down below here. Okay, so I'm kind of done with my home page, so I'm going to go ahead and save it real quick and make sure I click on the style page and save it. And now I'm just going to create my other pages. So all I do here is I go to projects, and here maybe I go projects. That's a little big, so that's a good point. A good illustration here is that it's really big with just my name there. So what I might do then is if I click on this, I see that it is heading 1. So I can just go down here and find heading 1. Or I can go over here and find heading 1. I don't see heading 1 by itself. It's probably hidden in there somewhere. So I'll just go here to heading 1. Here we go. And I can then go to the font size and just play around with it. So 150, let's try 100. But I can play around with the size here pretty easily. But what I actually just want to keep that banner title the same. Just keep the name the same, and then whenever it has the individual pages, I'm just going to change it in this right here in the browser window. And then the headings would then say here, welcome to my projects page. And then blah, blah, blah. You give a description, get rid of this. And then maybe have like projects. Maybe have like the course name. And then I could put an image here. So if I click on this, go to my ePort, go to the project images, and I could do the atom game. And then I could click on this one, go to the project images, and go to the playing game. And then I just make sure they're the same size. So this is 250 by 180. 250 by 180, so I'm good. I could put a click here, make a direct link. So Atom game, and then that would be a description afterwards. So I'm just going to click. Go to link, and go to ePort, go to projects, model plate, boom. Want to make it open in a new window, so I just click target underscore blank, and then I'll just repeat that for the plain game. I want to leave this here because of the licensing, and I'm just going to go ahead and go file, save as. You can't see this because it's all happening off the screen, but file, save as, projects. .html, save, CSS, save, and then I'm not going to do the other content on the other pages, but to finish my shell, I'm just going to go file, save as, whoops, cancel, go back to the source code, go file, save as, I'm going to go links, save, go down here to the document title, links, save, go file, save as, courses, go down here, save it, and then lastly you want to do is CV. I call it resume, but file, save as, and we're done. So I'm now going to simply go back over to my files page. I'm going to select the ePort, and I'm going to upload it. I'm going to pull up a browser window. My email, it's always going to be rhartshorn.com/spring2020/drhartshorn. That's my username, so whatever your username is. So mine is always going to start like that, and then it's going to move out from there. Now remember that ePort sites folder is invisible, so my next part is just going to be ePort and then whatever page I want to pull up. So I'm going to click on ePort / let's just put in resume, and boom, pops up nice and neatly. It's the same as my project page, but it says resume here, CV. If I click on courses, same thing, courses, it's called courses here. If I click on projects, you see my projects. Click on the Atom game, it downloads it, and then I go to my index. Oh, I didn't change the index link. I didn't actually make the index link. Okay, brilliant. So now all I got to do is go to my, go here and HTML. And I'm just going to copy that real quick. Save, resume. That was smart, leaving the index page open, leaving the index blank, page link blank. All right, so now I'm just going to re-upload. I'm just going to do the whole folder and pull up the browser, refresh. Let's just go to projects link and then go to home links page. Just make sure they all link back to the home page, and they do. Well, so not sure why these. Weird. So for some reason, I guess I never actually saved it as index page. But that's fine. All I have to do now is go here, insert an image, and images, me, make it 200. Okay, I would tweak this later. Go ahead and get rid of this content because I don't need it, because all I need on my main page is a nice introduction. File save, file, go here to index. So I'll just call it home. Go file, save as, index.html, boom, replace. I only made that one change to that one file, so I'm going to go to index, upload it, and now, third time's a charm, refresh, and I have my index page working. So I go to projects, links, back to home, home, CB to home, and I'm good to go. So that right there is my shell. Now later on, as we're moving in through the course, we'll come back and revisit this and talk about updating the projects, updating your resume, linking to your files, and that sort of thing. But for now, you could follow the same process for your web shell, and you can use any of the templates I provided or any other templates that you feel comfortable with. Obviously, you cannot use Wix or Weebly or those types of things, but hopefully this will get you started with working with templates. If you're really overwhelmed, don't stress out about it yet. We will definitely be revisiting this throughout the course. You don't have to work with a template, but it's just going to give you a nice, cleaner product, and it's easier to kind of start working with it now and transitioning to it later in a more complex manner than keeping on working in the wrong way with the tables, which I was using really as more of an introduction to the functionality and terminology and stuff. So really try and focus on working with these templates now. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I would be happy to help out. We can meet one-on-one with Skype, share screens, etc. Thanks.